Welcome to the Paradise Paradox. Here I am, chilling in the jungle just outside of the temple, bringing you a special report to talk to you about Thailand and Southeast Asia in general. I wanted to tell you a few positives, negatives, and interesting things about Thailand. So one thing is the food. The food is very good in Thailand. I don't think I've actually had a bad meal since I got here. So a lot of people know pad Thai, pad see ew. I think the best kept secret of Thailand is actually the pad krapow, or that is the stir-fried basil. So you get a basil stir-fry with a whole bunch of chili, vegetables, and then meat or tofu according to your preference, and it is fucking awesome. I think I have to look up a recipe and practice making it 100 times so I can get it right and make it for myself. And the other thing, let's see, tom sam, the papaya salad, or they have mango salad as well. Very delicious. The problem is, if you're a vegetarian in Thailand, you're going to have a problem, because basically everything has meat in it. So I've had to make a few compromises myself. If you order pad Thai, it probably has pork fat to fry the noodles. And if you order tom yum, this spicy soup, it probably has shrimp paste. That's how they make it. So even if you have it just with eggs or with mushroom, you're still going to get some of that sea animal in your plate there. And fish sauce is in everything as well. So it's like they don't use salt. They use fish sauce. It's delicious, but if you're vegetarian, it causes a big problem. You can look out for the yellow flags with red writing on them. I didn't see too many of them in Bangkok, but if you look around, you might be lucky to find a couple of them. That means they serve J food. And especially they serve it sometime during September or October. It's the 9th month according to the lunar calendar, the Chinese calendar. So it changes around every year. But J food, a lot of people, including myself, had the conception that J food is actually Jainist food, like from the Indian tradition. But it's not. It's a separate tradition. From what I've read, it comes from the Chinese tradition, and the story goes something like there were a few Chinese people traveling in Thailand, and they got sick, and they said, okay, well, we want to get better. What should we do? Let's try to make a diet that has the least karmic impact possible, and choose foods that are healthy. So they cut out all the meat, especially, but also it got really strict and cut out all the root vegetables, because when you eat a root vegetable, the plant will normally die. So they try to use other vegetables in their food. So it's good for you, good for your spirit. It's kind of funny actually, because people acknowledge that it's good for your karma, but they don't want to eat it all year round. I don't know why that is, but it goes for 9 days. So if you're a vegan and you happen to be in Thailand during September or October, you might get lucky. And you'll see all through Bangkok, you go like, if you go to Ngam Dupli Road, you'll see a lot of places, a lot of stalls serving like sticky rice with coconut, sticky rice with banana, wrapped in a banana leaf, just like a Mexican tamal. And with all kinds of things, black beans and things. Sticky rice is another kind of, almost well-kept secret. I think a few people around the world know about it. If you are a vegan, then you can enjoy the, vegan desserts that they have here, because they have like sticky rice with mango, sticky rice with durian, and they just drench it in coconut milk, and it's fucking delicious, man. It's brilliant. So, what else am I going to talk about? Oh, yeah. You know what's weird? They love sugary drinks in Southeast Asia. So, I guess I haven't noticed it so much in Thailand, but when I was in KL, in Malaysia, I went to a tea stall, and instead of saying like, how many teaspoons of sugar do you want, they had a chart sitting next to the counter, and it said, what percentage of sugar do you want? And it went all the way from 0 to 100%, or it kind of looked like it started at 20. And I was like, what the fuck? What would even 100% sugar look like? I mean, is that like when it starts to peak out your taste buds? Like you can't taste any more sugar that's in there? Or is it like the saturation point so no more sugar will dissolve? I don't know. But I wasn't really game to try it. But people love sugary drinks, and it's kind of weird because not a lot of people are overweight. I don't know how they do it. People tell me it's because of the hot weather, they just sweat it all out, or it's also, I guess, because they eat food in small servings and has something to do with it. But there you go. You know, if you like sugar, it's everywhere in Southeast Asia. Then let's talk about, this is a fun subject, sex workers. So this is a thing, because I remember when I went to Las Vegas years ago, and we would hear stories about young kids coming into Las Vegas, you know, maybe country boys come into Las Vegas, and they say, wow, the women sure are friendly here. Yeah, they're friendly because they want something for you. They want something from you, rather. And, you know, that's kind of how it is. I remember one night I was waiting for my Grab, which is like the version of Uber that they have here, on Sukhumvit Road, and just trying to find the taxi. Somehow I ended up like surrounded by working girls on all sides, and many of them like trying to reach out and touch me. I was like, whoa, just back off a little. And a lot of them were gorgeous. I was like, holy shit. I mean, I would take these girls out for a date if they weren't asking me if I wanted to go back to the hotel room within the first 10 seconds of meeting me. So that's kind of a weird experience, and I guess you have to be aware of that. It's kind of weird because people tell me these stories where like go out, meet a girl at a club or something, take her home, everything's going great. Then in the morning, she's like, so, where's my money? And you have to scramble to find a few thousand baht to give to her. I remember my buddy told me this story, and he talked it down to just a taxi fare. So I don't know what to make of it. Someone else told me a similar story. My buddy. Well, I saw this story on Facebook from Christoph Heuermann, who we interviewed about Bit Nation years ago, and after he left Mexico, he went to Cuba, and there were working girls approaching him, and he's like, all right, how much for the night? And they say, it's, you know, this many cooks, that is this many dollars. And he said, oh, great, you're going to teach me Spanish all night. So spend all night learning Spanish from a Cuban prostitute, because why not? That's an efficient use of your money and of her linguistic resources, beyond her lingual resources. So you got to be careful. The other thing that's related, I think some people aren't really aware of what a shill looks like in person. So, I mean, a lot of people throw the term around, especially on the internet. They're like, oh, what are you, some kind of corporate shill? You're trying to back up this guy, and you know, you're a fake stock account and this kind of thing. But in real life, if you're not on the ball, it can be hard to spot a shill. So I remember we were going to the border, to the Cambodian border, for a visa run, and there's this guy about, you know, a couple hundred meters from the border, and he's like, oh, well, if you're going to Cambodia, or if you're going and coming back, you need to get a Cambodian visa, and you need to come with me. You have to go this way. You have to go to the office. And I was like, really? And what's your role in this? Who do you work for? But that guy wasn't the obvious. That guy obviously had something in it. But then as we're walking towards the office to check it out, I stop and say, well, hang on, what's going on here? What is this office? And another fellow passed us, a Thai fellow, and as he was walking up the stairs, he said, oh, you guys going to you guys need a Cambodian visa? Well, you have to go this way. And my companion was like, well, that's what he's saying. And I was like, hang on, no, that guy's the shill. Don't you get it? That's how this operation works. You get the first guy to set it up for you, and then you get another fellow who just happens to be walking past. Like, what was this Thai guy doing walking past? Like, he's gonna like he just happens to be walking there, like as if he's a man, like a middle-class looking man about to cross over into Cambodia, and like he does it all the time or something. Like, what's his story? So of course that guy was a shill. I went up the stairs and looked at the office, and it's just got like this sign that looks like a license plate saying Cambodian visa office, and I was like, okay, this is not the consulate of Cambodia, which probably looks more like a palace or something. Or, at least a nice house. So I remember I was in Los Angeles years ago, and there was this guy on the street hustling. He's trying to sell me his mixtape or whatever. And it's like, yeah, man, so we got that, West Coast style, gangster shit, whatever. And he's trying to tell me that in a few months when he moves to Australia, I'll be able to get free shows because I bought his CD or something like that. So he obviously asked me where I was from, and just his buddy just happened to be walking past, and he says, "Oh, what? You don't believe me, man? You don't believe me, man? Look, check it out." He calls over to his buddy and it's just like, "Yo, G-Fresh or whatever. G-Fresh, man. Where am I going to live in a couple of months?" And his friend's like, "Australia." So this is like a common tactic that you have to be aware of when you're traveling. So the shills, they're everywhere. So look out for those little tricks that they try to pull on you. Another thing that Thailand is famous for is the Ladyboys, and I still haven't really cracked the puzzle of why there are so many Ladyboys in Thailand. Some say it's just because the culture is accepting, but then you have to wonder, well, why aren't there many female to male transgender people in Thailand? But there are a lot of Ladyboys. And I mean, it's so common. It is really common. So you'll see like a beauty salesperson, like in a store, in a mall, and she'll be selling beauty products and she'll be a ladyboy. Or you go to a cashier or something in an electronics store, or just in an office, a secretary. The secretary's a ladyboy. Everywhere. And it's just really common, and nobody bats an eyelid about it. And I guess that's kind of how it should be. I guess it's really not a big deal if you want to dress like that or live your life like that. Then the thing is, my friend told me, well, the reason there are so many is because you have like a young boy in a poor neighborhood, and maybe he looks around and he sees who's making the money, or at least who's spending the money, and it's the ladyboy prostitutes, these working girls flashing their cash around, and he thinks to himself as a young boy, so I see where the real money is. Like, fuck being a man. Why do I want to be a man? Obviously, being a ladyboy is where it's at, and that gets imprinted in their minds because they want to be successful, get out of their life situation there, move on to something better, and become a ladyboy. So maybe that's a factor too. I don't really know. It's an interesting cultural phenomenon, and if you go on Tinder, of course, a lot of them will advertise to you, like they will tell you that they're transgender, or they say ladyboys, whatever. Also, it's kind of funny because I notice a lot of women will say specifically, "I am not a ladyboy," and it's not always like the masculine-looking women. It's normally women who like to have very stylized photos because that makes it look like they've been altered to, hide that Adam's apple or something like that. So that's definitely something that happens. My friend Nana told me that if you're on Khao San Road, which is like the party district, there's a lot of bars and clubs and stuff in Bangkok. If you happen to be in that district, then you probably shouldn't comment on the amount of ladyboys around, because it's like saying, especially if you use that word, it's like saying they're not a real lady, and that's that's how how some of them see it, and they may be mentally women, but they're biologically men, and they can lay the smack down. So you've got to watch out. Maybe don't mention that if you're around those parts. something to be careful of. Another thing to mention, which is it's a little bit unusual, but it's kind of cute or kind of cool as well. People really love the king. They really loved Rama IX. And of course, it's illegal to criticize the king, so nobody is really going to do that. But it's not like in North Korea or something where if maybe you're just disinterested in the king, or you don't clap enough at one of Stalin's marches or something, that they're going to do something nasty to you. So that's it. They'll stop you from speaking bad about him. Sure, they'll stop you printing stuff about him, probably, but they don't force you to love him. People actually do love Rama IX, and I guess he must have done something right, probably beyond public relations. People always talk about the dams that he created all over Thailand, improving the infrastructure. He was actually, the Crown as an institution in Thailand is one of the richest royal institutions in the world. Their net worth about $30 billion. So fair coin, especially if you count it in baht. So that's pretty interesting. You go to the cinema, and before the movie starts, they'll get you to stand up for the national anthem or the song of praise or whatever it is, and show a little respect to the king. And I guess, the other thing is, to come to Thailand, you do have to have a bit of faith in humanity, because especially as a foreigner, people could be critical of you, and even if you don't say anything bad about the king, all they would have to do is make up a lie and maybe get a couple of their buddies to back it up, saying that you were mentioning bad words about the king, and maybe you would be in an uncomfortable situation. So I think, there's a couple of ways to take that, but I think it does go to show that people are generally good, and they don't wish ill on you. Just because you piss someone off, they're not going to try to bring down the hammer of the law on you just because they could. So that's good news. I don't worry about that at all in Thailand, even though somebody could reasonably do that. So that's some interesting things about Thailand and Southeast Asia. Definitely, if you have the opportunity, I'd say come to Thailand, explore it, enjoy it. Bangkok is great out here in the country, is also great. Beautiful rainforests and everything. I'll just spin the camera around a bit so you can have a little look at what's going on there. But standing like here by a cave, if you're listening, just in this little jungle by the temple. So just over those trees there's the temple of Wat Tam Krabok. So thanks very much for listening. Hope you enjoyed it, and remember, jump onto the paradiseparadox.com. You can check out our old episodes there. Jump onto the Paradise Paradox on Facebook and on YouTube. Subscribe on iTunes or your favorite podcast app. Podcast Addict is one of my favorite ones for Android. And remember to treat yourself well, and if you get an opportunity, eat some sticky rice. Have a good one!